Today we're going to be covering how to travel internationally with your pet. I'll cover the entire range of how to find out the rules for each specific country, how to get the paperwork filled out, and what to expect at the airport, at customs, both in the US and at the foreign country. For more information and all the different paperwork, be sure to check out our website in the link below because we have an entire page dedicated to traveling internationally with a dog. So the first thing you have to do is check the airplane rules. Just because a country has certain rules doesn't necessarily mean that every airline allows a dog to travel in cabin. Some airlines, such as the budget airlines, don't even allow service dogs in cabin. Some have a limit to how many dogs are allowed, and some don't even allow small pets in cabin. Some airports only allow ADI, Assistance Dogs International service dogs through, such as London Heathrow, and some airlines don't allow ESAs, which is emotional support animals. And so you definitely need to check all the airline rules before doing anything else. Along with the airline rules, you need to double check what the country-specific rules are. You can find out what the country-specific rules are by looking up the USDA APSIS website, which I have linked below. This stands for the United States Department of Agriculture Animal and Plant Health Inspection Service. And that's going to be your source of truth. That website is the only thing you really need to look at for your regulations for traveling to another country with your animal. On the USDA website, you can search by country. So you click the country you want to go to, and then you click what kind of animal you're traveling with. And then you get the full list of exactly what is required to travel with your animal. Something to keep in mind is that the country regulations don't change based on what kind of animal you're traveling with. By that I mean a service dog, an emotional support animal, or a small cat or dog are going to have the same regulations that they have to pass through in order to get into the country and in order to cross the border. And so all of that information is going to be listed on the USDA website. Most people that reach out to me ask about traveling with their dog to Europe, and it's actually very easy to travel from the United States to the EU with your pet. There are just a couple of things that you have to keep in mind and that you have to follow, as you can see on the USDA website. So I'll outline them here, but of course, make sure to check the website, make sure to print all that information so you can check off all the boxes. So in general, when you're traveling to Europe, the first thing your dog needs is a microchip. It needs a 16-digit microchip, which is the classic one that dogs have in the United States. We have never been asked for the microchip, but that is a requirement for the health certificate. The second thing the dog needs is a rabies vaccine. The 1 or the 3-year rabies vaccine is totally fine, but the initial vaccine, like the first time your dog got a rabies vaccine, needs to be at least 21 days before you travel. If you're just getting a booster, that's totally fine, but if it's your dog's first rabies vaccine, it has to be more than 21 days, or like at least 21 days before you travel. The next thing that you're going to need is you're going to have to go to a USDA accredited vet, and you have to call your vet to make sure that there is a USDA accredited vet on staff, because a lot of vets don't have that capability to fill out the health certificate. So the USDA accredited vet will fill out the special health certificate for the EU. I actually have one right here, and it looks like that. So the vet's going to fill it all out, and they fill out every single page of it, and then they sign their name on every single page. Once you get this certificate filled out by a USDA accredited vet, you have to go to an APSIS office. And again, all of this information as to where the office is can be found on the link down below. But you have to go to this special office, and they take your health certificate and they stamp it with an embossed stamp. So I don't know if you can see here, but right here, it's like bumpy because they put a special stamp on there and they sign every single page. So the APSIS office signs every single page, and they stamp every single page with a special stamp that is embossed to certify that the vet that you went to was an accredited vet. For the EU specifically, there's actually a rule. It might have been lifted since then, but we always follow this rule because it used to be followed, that you need to get this health certificate done no more than 10 days before you travel. So we generally schedule our appointments about 5 days before we travel to give a little bit of buffer space, but it needs to be done within that time frame or else the certificate is not valid. So that's something to keep in mind, that you want to schedule this appointment in advance to make sure that the timing is lined up correctly so that it's not any more than 10 days before you travel. One thing about the health certificate is that it's not cheap. Our vet in San Francisco charges $200 for the health certificate. So if you're going to be traveling a lot, I would definitely recommend getting a passport for the EU if that's where you're going to be traveling a lot. So this time around, we actually got a passport made for Samson when we got to France because we know we're going to be back there and it's valid for 3 years. So if you do get an EU passport for your dog, you don't have to get another health certificate stamped for 3 years. So that's pretty good. You can save, if you go once a year, you'll save $600. And this was only $70 to get done in Paris the day that we arrived. It essentially just has all of his information and the vet and the rabies vaccine, and then you bring it back to the US and the vet in the US can write down the vaccines that they get for the next 3 years. In terms of actually going through customs, we've never had any issues. We've only had our certificate checked one time in the 4 different times that we've interacted with the airport when we're traveling. And that's only been one time in the United States before we were going to Paris. We've actually never had our certificates checked when we go into Paris, which always completely baffles me because what if my dog has rabies and I'm just walking right in? Just to summarize, the 3 things you have to keep in mind when traveling internationally with your animal is 1, the airline rules, 2, the country-specific rules, which you can find on the link below, and 3, you need to make sure that you have all of the requirements that are in the country rules as well as a vet that can fill out your health certificate. I'll be making a video in the future about airplane-specific travel, what to expect at the airport, our different experiences traveling. But for now, I hope you've enjoyed this international dog travel video since it's definitely a question that I get very often. Bye!